Meredith Gorman, joined by our Nesson Patriots beat reporter Dakota Randall outside of Patriots training camp. And Dakota, one of the things that we've been monitoring over the last couple of days is Cole Strange's injury. How concerning is that, and what other injuries are you monitoring?
I'm not too concerned about it just because after he suffered it, which was on Monday, I believe, it was during a one-on-one rep with Lawrence Guy that got tangled up. Cole Strange went down. It looked bad at first. He looked like he was in some serious pain. Then he went over to the trainer's table back there. They worked on him a bit. He came out. He moved around. He sort of stayed out for the rest of practice with his helmet on but didn't participate. And then he hasn't been out here the last 3 days. So, he's definitely hurting, but the fact that he was moving around with some mobility after it happened, I think they're just being cautious with him. But one injury that I am concerned about, I don't think it's necessarily a long-term thing, is Tyquan Thornton. He's gone down to the lower field after the stretching period of practice each of the last 2 days, and just more than anything, I think he's missing some very valuable reps. He's an important player for this team. He needs to have a good camp, and the offense has had 2 great days the last 2 days, and Thornton hasn't been out there, so he could start falling down the depth chart if he doesn't come back soon.
And 2 other guys that we've been keeping an eye on, Matthew Judon and Trent Brown, both of them not on the field today while the team was in full pads. Are you worried about that at all, or is it more maintenance-based?
Yeah, I think if I'm reading between the lines and hearing what the guys have said and just sort of watching it, it certainly sounds like 2 things are happening. One, both players want their contracts adjusted. That's been the reporting. We don't know the status of that, if anything's imminent. But it also sounds like, both those guys are very important for what the Patriots want to do this season. You could argue Trent Brown is the single most important player on the team, not named Mac Jones, just because if he gets hurt, the Patriots have no left tackle and then things can go south really quickly. So I think the Patriots want to make sure that those guys stay healthy this summer and are ready to go for the start of the season. And I think the contract stuff might be playing a role too. So I think it's a bit of both, but I wouldn't be concerned, but it's also just a bit of a departure from what we're used to, because in years past, Belichick's mantra was, if you're healthy, you're practicing. Both those guys, I think, are healthy, and they're not practicing, so it's just another sign of the change of the times around here.
That's right, definitely a change of the times. Now, we've seen the offense continuing to build chemistry on the field. What stood out to you again today in full pads for them?
Yeah, I think the real headline here is 2 straight good days for the offense, Mac Jones and the offense. I think you could make the case that yesterday's practice was the best offensive practice the Patriots have had since 2021. It was absolutely better than anything they did last year. And I think you could say the same thing about today's practice too, even though today's practice wasn't as good as yesterday's. I think Mac Jones looked good. It was interesting. He was seeing time with backup receivers, but the starting offensive line, whereas it was the opposite for Bailey Zappi. Starting receivers, backup offensive line. I think that's just the Patriots wanting to make sure both guys get looks with everybody. But again, both quarterbacks were sharp. A lot of different receivers and pass catchers making plays. Again, it's a disappointment that Tyquan Thornton wasn't out there to be part of it. But the offense, I think, is playing really well. It was a bit of an adventure the first few days last week in the red zone, but they've really turned it up here the last couple of days. But one other note that I saw today that was interesting is during one of the competitive periods, Jack Jones was involved in a completion, I think, to Kendrick Bourne. I don't really know what happened there. Jack Jones got up frustrated. There was a lot of emotion, but either way, it looked like he got kicked out of practice for maybe 20 or so minutes. It didn't seem like it was an injury situation, but he left the field and he came back and he kind of went down on one knee, was really quiet off to the side over here. And Patriots personnel executive Macro came over, got him on knee, seemed to give a pep talk, sort of tap him on the helmet. So obviously, a lot going on with Jack Jones right now. That's just another layer to it. So I'll be curious to see what his practice participation is like next time the Patriots take the field.
And Jones has been somebody who's definitely shined at training camp so far. How did the depth at corner look without him on the field for that period of time?
Yeah, he's definitely, I think, over the last few days gotten more time with the first team defense. I think he's been really good at camp this summer. Struggled a bit yesterday, but overall I think it's been exactly what you wanted to see from him. But the good thing for the Patriots is they're loaded at cornerback, especially if you believe in Christian Gonzalez, which you probably should. He has everything you want in a top corner, but Gonzalez has played well. Jonathan Jones has played well. Marcus Jones a little bit up and down, but he's had some great moments too. Jalen Mills able to slide in there when he wants to. So when Jack Jones isn't out there, the Patriots have, I think more than enough to get by. But I think it's absolutely true that their best pairing is Jack Jones out there on one side, Gonzalez on the other, John Jones at slot. They didn't have that today, but it'll be interesting to see what his participation looks like, going forward, and especially after he has his court date on August 18th.
Now, looking ahead, fans will be able to see the Patriots at an in-stadium practice on Friday night, and now a slight schedule change, Dakota, with the team practicing on Sunday now down here on the fields.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know why. I do wonder if maybe it looks like rain's in the forecast for tomorrow, and potentially really heavy thunderstorms. I heard talk of hail. I don't know. I'm not a meteorologist. But you wonder if the Patriots are looking at that night. Typically, it's a pretty light affair. They don't do a whole lot, but maybe with the rain coming, they expect to do even less. So they wanted to add a practice on Sunday. Or maybe it was just always a scheduling miscommunication from the start. I'm not sure. All I know is, for me, who was really looking forward to a weekend off, it was a tough bit of news, but it is what it is.
Tough life as a beat reporter. Thanks, Dakota.
Thank you.
PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.